Okay, so in this video we are going to look at the two chords that we have in the first measure of this chorale, chorale number 1. So what I need to do is I need to start by zooming in because we're going to write on this music. Alright, so what we have here is we have the piano, we have the grand staff with the treble clef and the bass clef, and yes, we are actually going to be reading bass clef today. I know that we haven't done much of that outside of our tone savvy assignments in a couple weeks, but this is just going to serve as a good refresher. Now, you do not need to mark these PDFs the way that I am. I am including these in the email, so use the PDF and use the videos that I'm making to help you with the worksheet included. So let's get started analyzing what we have. I'm going to write in red, and let's see. Okay, that's what a 2-point line looks like. Let's do a 1 point. Nope, not 0. Okay, there we go. We got a 1-point line there. Alright, so we are in the key of C major. If we look up here in where our key signature would go, there are no sharps and no flats. So that means we're either in C major or A minor, but our first chord is C, our last chord is C, and I'm telling you, we're in C major. So we need to have an idea of what our key signature is to approach what chords we have. Now, the first note in the C major scale is C. So keep that in mind for us looking at this first chord. The notes that we have in this first chord are C in the bass clef, all the way down at the bottom. The next note up is G, and that would be what we call our tenor voice. The next note up would be an E, which is what we would call our alto voice, the lower part in the treble clef. And the top note is also a C. So when we look here, we have a C, an E, and a G. At this point, you should definitely know that C, E, and G makes a C major chord. So C major, I'm going to abbreviate it right there. Now, I told you a moment ago, C is the first note in our C major scale, and that means that our chord is going to be known as the 1 chord because it's based off of the first note. Using our Roman numeral, we are just going to use the capital 1 or capital I to show number 1, and that's what our first chord is. Now, last week we talked about inversions of chords, and we said that if the root of the chord is the lowest note, that is going to be called root position. The root of C major is the note C, and that's our lowest note. So that means that this is a root position chord. Our first chord is in root position. And when it's in root position, we could write this. Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the down arrow. Okay, we could write 5 and 3 because the notes above C are G, which is a 5, and C to E, that's a 3, but we don't need those. We're just going to leave it as a 1. So that's what our first chord is. It is a nice major 1 chord in C major. Now, we're still in C major, but the next chord is not in F major. Let's mark these notes to see what chord we actually have. So this lowest note, this is an F in the bass clef, in the bass line, actually. I don't like how that looks. There we go, that's going to be better. Okay, not really. Well, moving on, so we have an F, and above that we have an A in the tenor voice. So F, A, the next note we have is another F in the treble clef, and the top note remains a C. So when we have an F, A, and C in a chord, that is our F major chord. F, A, and C in a chord with nothing else except for another F in this case, that's F major. Now, if we think of our C major scale, I'm just going to come down here and mark this up a little bit. Okay, so there are the notes of our C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So we have the F major chord. We need to figure out what number that belongs to. So C is our 1, D is our 2, E is 3, F is 4. F major is our 4 chord, and 4 in Roman numerals is IV, We're going to make them capital because this is a major chord. And again, so we have F major, the root of that chord is F, and we have an F in the bass. So we have another chord. This F major is in root position. So our first chord is in root position, our second chord is in root position. I'm going to cut off this video here, just that way no video is too long on its own. And in the next video, we'll talk about the 3 chords left.